Today's lesson is I can pray with my family. Are you kidding me? I can pray with my family? Yes, Jewel Fig, you can pray with your family. And you can pray to help somebody feel better. Or have a good day at work, or help them there's so many reasons why you could pray. And I'm not going to list them all, but I hope you guys know that when Jesus Christ was little, like your age, he prayed with his family too. And look, nowadays people pray too. Now you guys remember that you guys can pray your way, okay? Not my way, your way, okay? But just remember, you have to fold your arms and close your eyes, okay? But you can be standing, you can be laying down. You just do it way makes you feel comfortable, okay? Now, I hope you guys enjoy this. Remember, you can pray with your family, and I hope you guys enjoy this book. Today's book is called A Bad Case of Stripes. Now, we're going to see if people could pray for this girl, because it looks like she has stripes on her, or not. Let's find out. Cami Cream loved lime beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans. And she wanted to fit in. Cami was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today was a frightening evening, more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Apparently, the pretty red dress did not suit her. Her mother ran into the room, and she screamed too. "Oh, my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Cami was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Miss Creams felt Cami's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Cami answered. "But just look at me. You get back in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Cami was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Cami. They called her Cami Cran and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act if everything were normal, but when class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." So here's some purple polka dots. Sure enough, Cami turned all purple polka dots. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboards and a pattern of squares." there, and covered her skin. Soon, everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Cammy was changing faster than you can change television on a TV. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Cammy turned all purple polka dotted. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard," and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Cammy was changing faster than you can change a channel on a TV. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Miss Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Cammy home from school. She just too much of a distraction, and I'm been getting calls from other parents. They're afraid these stripes may be contagious." All right, distraction is if you're supposed to be like playing a game and you see like somebody out, an ice cream truck going by, and you focus on the ice cream truck. That's, you got distracted by playing a game and you're looking at something else. All right, so another thing I thought you guys might need is so another word is contagious. Now, if you have the COVID, you're contagious, because if you catch it, you can give it to somebody else, or your parents will know this. I had it when I was little. A lot of you guys, my guess, your parents gave you this shot when you were little, so you wouldn't have to get this. It's called chicken pox. Now, if you got the chicken pox, it looks like you have, I don't know why it's called chicken pox, because you don't look like a chicken. It's just little, really itchy spots all over you. And yeah, so, but if you're around somebody that hasn't had it, then they would get it too. So just like coronavirus, that kind of thing. I meant the contagious part. All right, let's finish the story. Cammy was so embarrassed she couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," Cammy sighed. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans. But she had been laughed at enough for one day. Now, at this time, if they got sent home, or if you see them like that, like her situation, I would go up to them and say, "Can I pray for you to feel better?" Or if you don't want to ask them, you can just do it secretly. Shh. So you don't have to tell them that you're going to have your family pray for them. All right, let's finish the book. All right, here is the page. All right. Well, yes, I see, Dr. Bubbles mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. "I think I better ring in the specialist." "We'll be right over." About an hour later, Dr. Bubble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. "This is Dr. Grouper, Dr. Sponge, and Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young. Then the specialist went to work on Cammy. They squeezed, they jabbed, they tapped, they tasted. It was very uncomfortable. Well, it's not mumps, concluded Dr. Grumbled, or the measles, Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chicken pox, but in Dr. Cricket or sunburn, said Mr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one of each before bed, said Dr. Groper. Then they filled out they filled it out the front door, followed by Dr. Bubbles. That night, Cammy took her medicine. It was awful when she woke up the next morning. She did feel different, but when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit her right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant multi-colored pill with her face on it. I don't think the doctors know what to do. Do you guys think so? Looks like that. Dr. Bubbles rushed over as soon as Miss Clean called, but this time, instead of a specialist, he brought in an expert. Dr. Grote and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientists find in the land. Once again, Cammy was poked, prod, looked at, and listened to expect, wrote down all the numbers. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Grote finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced it, with authorizing study fizzy little vertivis balls appeared all over her Cammy. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria tails. Or it could be fungus, added Mr. Kerr. Instantly, Cammy was covered with different colored fungus blotches, and then looked at Cammy. Then at each other. We need to go over these numbers. Again, back to the lab, Dr. Kerr explained. We'll call you when we know something, but the experience didn't have a clue, much less a cure. By now, the TV news had found out about Cammy. Reporters from every channel were outside her house, telling the story of the blazing case of incredible changing kid. Soon, a huge crowd of campers out of the front lawn. The creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from medicine man, guru, allergens. So each so-called cure only added a poor Cammy's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots, berries, and crystals, and feathers, and long furry tails, but nothing worked. All right, so I didn't read all of the medicine people. Mainly, one, I can't understand it and read it. But two, I didn't think I should. You guys, your age, you guys wouldn't understand it. And that was my second reason why I didn't. So here is this part. So now looks like she's a house. Because her mouth looks like her bed. All right, let's find out. One day, a woman who called herself an environment therapist, Cammy, she could cure Cammy. Close your eyes, she said. One day, a woman who called herself an environmental therapist claimed she could cure Cammy. Close your eyes, she said. Breathe deeply and become one with your room. I wish you haven't said that, Cammy groaned. Slowly she started to melt into the walls of her room. Her bed became her mouth, and her nose was the dresser, and two paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. What are we going to do? Cried Miss Cream. It just keeps getting worse and worser. She began to sob. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was just as plump and sweet as a strawberry. Excuse me, she said brightly, but I think I can help. Well, with all that helping didn't work, I feel like the parents are like, I don't know if you can help me, my daughter. But I think they're willing to try. She went into Cammy's room and looked around. My goodness, she said with a shake of her head. What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen. She pulled out a container of small green beans from her bag. Here, she said, these might do the trick. Are these magic beans? Asked Mrs. Cream. Oh, my, no, replied the kind old woman. There no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I'll bet you like some, wouldn't you? She asked Cammy. Cammy wanted a big helping plateful of lima beans more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. Yuck, she said. No one likes lima beans, especially me. Oh dear, oh dear, the woman said sadly. I guess I was wrong about you. She put the beans back in her bag and started toward the door. Cammy watched the old woman walk away. Those beans would taste so good, and being left for eating them was nothing compared to what she being going through. She finally continued standing it. Wait, she cried. The truth is, I really love lima beans. I thought so, the woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Cammy's mouth. Said Cammy. She loved them. She would go, probably. Suddenly, the branches, feathers, and squishy tail began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around it. Stop with stood Cammy, and everything was back to normal. I'm cured, she shouted. Yes, said the woman. I know the reel was in there somewhere. She patted Cammy on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Afterward, Cammy wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was afraid, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all of the lima beans she wanted, and she never had even a touch of stripes again. Now, I think what happened with this book is how this old lady came is because someone said a prayer and helped her, and so someone got a thought like answer to them that she needed to go over, and that's how she was able to help her. It was because she ate something healthy. So, all right. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye.